were talking about before this started. So you said you wanted to like bring a third person on, and I get where you're coming from, and I get that where they can, I guess, input a different level to the conversation or add a different element to the conversation.
Oh yeah.
The problem with that is that you have to rely on people. If you're a guest-based podcast, you have to rely on people. I don't like relying on people. I don't trust people.
Sure.
So if I can do a show where we don't have to rely on people and I can just trust the people that I do trust, because I know they're going to be there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
When it comes to a guest-based podcast, like let's say we plan a whole episode around a said person, and then we plan questions and we have all that shit ready for them, and then they just cancel last minute because it happened so many fucking times I can't even count. Oh, are we doing the foot thing? Are we doing the foot thing for the foot guy?
I was trying to be self-conscious for it.
No, I'll do it. I got you.
I'll do one sock just to tease
What's up, dude?
Just to tease him.
Nah, you can fucking take off both socks. Don't be a bitch.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't be a bitch. Take them off.
Nah, like my...
Fine. But yeah, like, so we did this. We tried this.
Yeah.
To make it a guest-based podcast.
That's true.
And the only problem is that you have to rely on people. And it sucks because they always let you down. And I don't trust that. I just don't anymore. And it's not because I do it because of I do it because like, oh, like I just don't trust people because of blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I do it because I've had experiences where I've been burned and I just don't fucking trust people.
So what I feel like would be appropriate though is that sure you're gonna same thing with any business, right? Of
course.
If you choose to burn those bridges, that's fine, right? Like, hey, we wanna have a guest on the PM podcast. Yeah, sorry,
PM podcast. He's drunk.
We've had a lot of alcohol tonight. Just to give you I'm just gonna tell you guys straight up. We had to check out our videos on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You know, check out all those. Like we had a good time tonight. So that being said, I'm sorry.
This one's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. But the point of that is that I think it's always great to have a third opinion. It's always nice to have a first and second opinion. Same thing. Like the easiest thing I can think of is politics, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have your Republican and your Democrats, but then you have that third party that's like, hey, this is what my view is. Like I agree and disagree with both, but here's the middle. And it could be different. Maybe like we talked about the transgender, right? And I mentioned this before the episode. I was like, how great would it be if we had a transgender person here
on the show
to be able to be able to answer? And you're like, yeah, that would be a great idea, but that's just really kind of like what you said. It's like,
really just unfeasible.
It's really hard, right? Yeah. But I think at the same time, it would bring a lot more. Like, if we bring up a topic specifically, have someone that's relative to that topic,
right?
And that's my point.
I see what you're saying. The only issue that we have is that like the whole point of this podcast, how it's always been, is for us to be real, open, and honest. Are you okay?
Yep.
Okay. Is for us to be real, open, and honest with our audience, with ourselves.
Sure.
And the topics that we talk about, they're supposed to be intimate. And whether that's not necessarily an intimate topic of conversation, the conversation itself is supposed to be intimate between us two. It's supposed to give our audience engagement and give them a glimpse into a life that they otherwise wouldn't know. Because that's like through the daily show, they don't really see us. If that makes sense. Like,
sure. Yeah.
Through the daily show.
Figment of their,
because like I don't know how to say this. Like when you watch the Potty Mouth Show, we are who we are. Like we are each other. Like we're not different off camera.
Yeah,
I would say we're definitely more dramatized. Does that make sense? Like we take our personalities to the extreme.
Yeah, like, I mean, obviously I care about everybody and every being
Of
and
course.
XYZ, but like what you said is like, yeah, like, I mean, same with Aaron. Aaron is very caring and like, he's someone that everybody could take advantage of, and I hope nobody does, but like at the same time, like, that's just the type of person that he is. He's very giving, and I don't think any person or any ethnicity would change that. But I think that's just how it is. So
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I think that like we're so dramatized on camera.
yeah.
This podcast is an opportunity for our audience to meet us for who we really are.
Right.
And so I think if you were to add a third party, do I think? I legitimately believe that would be diluted. Would it be diluted for the worse? I don't know, but I don't want to rely on people that I don't trust and
That's
I
fair.
don't know. So like occasionally,
That's
like
fair.
if we had someone that had interest in the show that was like, "Hey, I want to be on the podcast," that's different.
Okay.
Like that's an absolutely different story. Like if someone was like, "Hey, I love your podcast. I would love to be a guest.
Done.
Let's make it happen."
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna go searching for someone who may be flaky and flake out.
So, that being said,
Yeah,
what if I have 3 people in mind
sure.
right now? Love to fill that seat.
Why
for
not?
The Moose. Oh, well, what do you think?
Why not? As long as they're not
Why
gonna,
not?
As long as
Exactly.
they're not gonna flake out. But I don't want this
What
to
if
be
they flake out? Who cares? I think that me and
Because-
you are great content producers. that we
because
could-
I don't waste time.
I don't think we would be wasting time. I think
Well-
I think the so let me explain this.
Yeah, yeah.
So the point of the third person would be to reinforce me or you, right?
Right.
Like, hey, like, you know, Braxton brings up a lot of good points, but Aaron's kind of right in this situation. And I think that's what's so great is like me and you get caught up in our point of views.
Right.
Right. And it's like sure, it's great at times to be able to commend you at my points.
Right.
But and vice versa, right? It's great to be able to like, oh yeah, you know, I understand, Aaron. You're right. I kind of understand that point of view.
Yeah.
But I personally think, and maybe you guys let us know, maybe what you prefer and see what you guys think, because honestly, that's all that matters. You know, me and Aaron love having conversations about random topics that kind of entertain you guys. But me personally, this podcast to me I want to take this on a whole nother level, and I want to make that like kind of like serious point, kind of like I don't want to call them out, but the JRE program, right? Joe Rogan Experience, like they have multiple guests on there, and I love that interaction where I can learn from not only from one point of view,
Right.
not only from 2 points of view, but I can learn from a third point of view.
But they're
And
a
I love
completely
that.
different format than what
I
we
love
are.
that.
Which is fine, but that's
Right.
that's not what our format is.
So
if we're gonna adopt that format, we have to be able to rely on people. And what I mean by my first
Yes
point
and
is
no.
that we don't waste. Well, what I mean by that, my first point is we don't waste time. Is because if I'm gonna have a guest on the show, I'm gonna plan for that guest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna produce a show geared
Right.
around that guest to ask questions to that guest, specifically pointed
Absolutely.
questions. So if they flake out, I've wasted time, and that drives me fucking nuts. And it's happened before. It's
so let's-
happened like 6 or 7 times in the whole production of the show ever since we started the podcast.
Okay. Snippet.
Okay.
At that point,
Yeah.
how many have you had that were successful?
None. Damn. Every single guest we've tried to have on the podcast.
Just let it go. Well, is it because we do it so late though?
Maybe, or it's just because we're not large enough, or whatever the reason is.
I just love the idea of it. I mean,
It's
I
a
didn't
great
even, I
idea.
didn't even Google
It's-
Potty Mouth Show, and Aaron invited me to like, oh yeah, you guys, you want to do like the 25 drinks at Christmas or 28? I was like, yeah. Fuck yeah, I do.
Why
Like,
not?
I didn't even Google it.
But
I
you
didn't know anything about you guys.
but you have a different mindset
Right.
than everybody else
Like,
in Indiana.
Really? Yeah, we've talked about
We've
that.
talked about this.
Yeah, we have.
It's like you are in a different mindset than everybody else that
you're
we've
right.
ever met.
That's so weird.
Because
though.
you're like the fuck it, let's do it kind of guy.
Why not?
Nobody else is like that.
That's so weird.
It is weird.
Why?
Because
Like take the opportunity. Like do what
exactly.
Like
Because here's the Midwest mentality. You go to
Okay.
you go to high school.
okay.
You graduate high school. You go to college.
Yep.
You get married.
Yeah.
You have babies. You work. You retire. You die. That's the order.
Done.
That's it. They
That's
don't
it.
care. Like there's no like, oh, I want to be more. Like they don't have that. And
Right.
I'm sorry, Indiana, and I'm sorry, Wisconsin, and who the fuck ever, but that's
Dude,
just
I'm
true.
telling-
A majority of the
That's how it
people
is,
in the
though.
Midwest, they want to go to high school, they want to graduate, they find out the one they love, blah 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 blah. They want to have kids, they want to retire and die. That's not me. That's not you.
It's not.
You don't want to settle.
I don't see. I see a whole bunch of high school friends that have settled.
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh,
Right?
of course. Oh, God,
and,
yeah.
And let me tell you, the
Half of my
percentage.
graduating classes already has like 2 kids, and I'm
Right.
24.
So half of your graduating class has kids. How many of that half are still married? 25% of them.
Less.
Exactly.
I
that's
know
what I'm
2
saying,
that are
dude.
married.
Like I don't know anybody that's still married. That's like happy, and that's
Which is why,
sad, dude.
we can't have guests in Indiana.
You're so
It,
right.
it
though.
can't
Yeah,
be. It
I
can't.
agree
It
to
can't
disagree,
be
I
a
guess.
guest. It can't. No. Listen. The format that
says
we
that.
have right now
Yep.
is the format we have for a reason. It's because we wanted to be a guest-based podcast, but couldn't be because no one wanted to fucking come on. And even if they said they would, they didn't want to.
Whose fault's that? Is it your fault, Blake's fault? or
No,
everybody's
it's
fault?
because
I don't think that's possible.
it's theirs.
I disagree. I think there's plenty of people out there that are willing to. Hey, I'm gonna give you a half an hour of my time
Yeah.
just to speak my mind.
No.
Hey,
It was always some bullshit reason like, oh well, my grandma's in the hospital, or oh like I have to work tonight, or oh I have to cover a buddy's shift, or the best one that I ever got was oh well I totally forgot about it, or hey sorry for the late notice, but I don't really want to do it. And I swear I can show you the emails and the messages. I'm not even fucking joking. Like we've reached out to 12 or 13 people in the course of 2 seasons, which is actually probably towards the beginning of the first one, where we just abandoned the entire format entirely. And we learned that through practical conversation that we could have engaging conversations that opened us both up, that really kind of pressured us to answer tough questions and engaged in a really intimate conversation. And through that intimate conversation is where we grow our fan base. So it's like you see all these people now that are listening and watching or whatever. That's where you see a lot of the audience grew from is they like that intimate sort of connection that they get to have with us. We get to open up about topics and get real with people. We
I
don't
agree.
we don't pull
Yeah.
punches.
right.
Whereas like with a guest, you have to prepare for that guest, and it's mainly about the guest. Like whether you say it is or not, whatever, fuck, it doesn't matter. If you're having a guest on the show, you're questioning the guest. The guest, after being bombarded with questions, then retorts. Like the only way that this can be the format that you're talking about is if you have
Yeah.
a third host. Like
Really?
yeah,
I
because
think you need a whole nother fucking.
of course, because a third host would be a staple of the show, and then it would be banter between you, I, and everybody else, versus a guest who is just on there one time, and we prepare for that guest, and that's the problem. We prepare for a guest, and then they flake, and it's fucked up. Because then we have to like, okay, well, what are we going to talk about tonight? Versus just me and you sitting down having an intimate conversation. In Indiana, you cannot rely on people. Like, you just can't. I'm sorry. Like, people are flakes. You can't rely on people.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Honestly, I see your point. I also see my point.
I see what you're saying.
I think
And
that
I
you
see
would
that-
like it to be that.
I see the value.
Right. You're
But
like,
if-
yeah, I would love to have fucking
Of
Tony
course.
Hawk or fucking
Oh, of
Yao
course.
Ming or, XYZ, any celebrity on the show.
Absolutely. It's
But-
not practical.
But I think it is.
If
I
we're
think
large
that-
enough, maybe.
I don't even think that. I've never even heard of you guys, and I showed up for your gig.
Because you're different.
But I think that's where you got to get. you got to find that different crowd, and I think that's where you're bad at it. Whereas, like,
do you think you
I'm
can do
good
better?
at it. I know I could.
Okay, let's do it.
But
have a guest next week.
About what?
It doesn't matter.
I've sent you messages as far as like, oh, we should do the transsexual thing, the gay rights
I'm just saying,
movement,
let's do it.
Black,
You tell me.
BLM.
You're the host. You're the host of a show too. Like, you can tell me what topic you want.
Well,
Let's do it.
I agree. So I have plenty of gay friends that would love to talk about open topics to everybody. Same with transsexual friends.
The biggest thing we need to be careful about is we're not a political podcast, and I don't want it to go there.
I don't either, because I don't know anything about politics, and I don't want it to be. So I don't know about you guys, but just to give you guys more insight about me, like, I'm very simple when it comes to a lot of things, politics being one of the things. I believe in what I believe in, but I will never let the guests know what I believe in, because at the same time, it's like, who cares? You should believe in what you believe in. Let me believe in what I believe in. And I'm going to love everybody the same, right? I'm going to treat everybody the same. I don't care if you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're gay, you're transsexual, you're straight, you're whatever. I'm going to treat everybody the same, right? But as soon as you treat me in a negative way, that's when I trigger, and that's where I become more reserved towards that group, right? Like, if somebody comes up to me and treats me negative, I'm going to treat you negative. And then I come to find out that you're in a different, you're in this group and I'm in that group, and it becomes an issue. And I feel like that's what a lot of 2020, 2021, that's where a lot of that comes from. And it's like, man, I would love to get to the point. In a lot of other countries, they've figured this out, but I guess we haven't figured it out to where we can just all get along. Like, I mean, they're sure everywhere there's chaos and criminal activities everywhere, but at the same time, it's like we all live in a society together, right? And and we call this the United States of America. And if somehow, and I don't know how, but if I could be a part of that, I would love to. To where we all get together and we can figure out a common goal. But the problem is that there's so many people and there's so many voices out there. And that's the part that I love, but that's the hardest part about this job.
The problem is that everybody wants to have their voice heard.
Everybody wants to have their voice heard. And trust me, Aaron has told me all your guys' comments, right? Like, he's very active in everything that, when it comes to subscribing, when it comes to liking, when it comes to commenting. Like, Aaron is the guy that Aaron or Ellen, I would assume, right? You guys are always on it. So just give a heads up to our viewers, like, you guys are always being listened to. And I think that's what separates the difference between us and everybody else, and that's what's so great.
But once again, that kind of that feeds back to my point about the intimate connection. I think I truly believe through experience, if you bring a third party on, you kind of disengage from that intimate connection that we have with our audience. And I always kind of go back to that thing where I don't want to fix something that's not broke.
Sure, absolutely.
So, like, you know, a few months down the road, if it wasn't working anymore, and we, like, let's say, like, we went from 5,000 downloads a month to 1,000 downloads a month. And we were getting comments like,
"Wait, what?"
Yeah, of course. And we're getting comments that are like, like, you guys are so freaking boring, or, oh my,
Right.
this isn't interesting anymore. Like,
Absolutely.
of course we need to adjust.
Yeah.
But if the numbers are growing and we're growing in size, and people are commenting about, like, oh my god, like, I love you guys' conversation, your banter is so perfect, like, oh, we love Braxton because he brings a new intimate feel that we've never really had before, like, it's getting better based on the topics that we have, and I think it's because you challenge more. Like, you're not afraid to voice an opinion.
Me?
You, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Commenting
that's
about
nice.
you, yeah. They're not. They're commenting about, like, how they're making, like, oh yeah, like, he's not afraid to voice his opinion, or like, this is way better because, like, he's actually engaging. It's just Aaron talking the whole time.
Right. And that's
so,
what
like,
that's what I kind of noticed. Like you, so Aaron is really, and I mentioned this before. I'll let you guys know, so that way you guys don't think that he's taking more away from me. But Aaron is really good at, like, just understanding. Like, he processes everything,
like,
and then
leading a conversation.
Yeah, no, leading the conversation is just an understatement. But
Okay.
he
Well,
processes it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you think about it, and you're like, all right, this is how these are the lanes that we could go.
Mhm.
And then you're like, all right, Braxton, what do you think about this? And it's like, out of the 6 lanes that we could have went down, we went down this lane. And that's what I love about Aaron. And he's thought about the idea of the conversation, and that's what keeps it going. But I also, and that's nothing to take away from you personally, but I think a third person, maybe...
No, I get what you're saying. I think
a vote. Maybe.
I think maybe.
No. Or comments like, hey,
I
let us
think-
know, because I don't know.
I think
You know what I mean?
I think you underestimate your ability
I
do. You do, of course.
Absolutely.
I think you highly underestimate your ability to have a conversation, in an intimate conversation, to where you don't feel like you can have. You don't feel like
I so far agree.
yeah. You don't
He's like,
feel
you're right."
like you can lead and hold an audience. And what I
No.
mean by that is, like, you're not confident in yourself and your ability to engage and have an audience connect with you on an intimate level.
I would like
So,
to
like,
agree to that comment.
yeah. So, like, I think you want a third person because you're out of your space. You're like, oh, like, if I have a third person to play off of, I can kind of detour everything away from me, because I don't want to be the center of attention. Like, I want to focus on everybody else but me. And I don't want that, because you are good, and I see the potential that you have as an intellectual and as a person, and you can communicate very, very intimately and strategically. You know how to talk, and you're very good at it. And I know you don't believe that.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate
You-
that.
you're welcome.
I don't believe
You
that.
you
No,
you
you're
should
right.
though, because our audience thinks it, and they
I appreciate
comment
you
it.
guys. Thank you.
And because, like, if they were saying, like, oh, this new co-host sucks, like, like, there'd be an issue. It's like, okay, maybe we should bring on a third person. But, like, I'm fighting for you and me to have an intimate conversation, because it's a conversation that you can't escape from.
No, so I love that idea that me and you are so entranced into a conversation that me and you can just constantly go back and forth in. But me personally,
Hate butt.
Dude, my one of my exes told me that, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the word "but."
No, I know.
It's just like, I want to. I'm communicating, right?
Of course.
So, like, but, right?
But.
I think that it involves more of our audience.
What do you mean?
Right. I mean, people love you.
Of course, they
Aaron.
love you too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're proving my point.
Okay.
People love
How?
Ellen.
Yeah.
The more people that we contact,
Mm-hmm.
the more people that we involve in love and companionship and relationship,
Sure.
the more people we're going to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So why not be able to have, hey, I really like that guest. And I think, so I mentioned this before, but I think our podcasts are something that I want to get to that are a specific topic that are hard to talk about, but are talkable about. Let's talk about mental health.
Okay.
Let's talk about transsexual operations.
Right.
Let's talk about politics. Let's talk about this. And I think that's what's hard is like I am so neutral on so much stuff that it's like I'm not taking Aaron's side, right, on a lot of things.
You definitely don't.
I don't think so
like,
either.
if you watch our podcasts back that we've currently done,
yeah,
you challenge me a lot.
But I
Which
think
is
that's what's
fine.
important.
Of course,
Right?
absolutely.
Like, why would you think that? Like, even if I agree
Even
with
if you agree,
you,
you still challenge
like
it.
what? Well,
Because
why
you
do you
ask
agree,
me
wives?
a lot of your biggest questions is you ask me like you're like, hey, like why do you think that way? Like I understand, like I'm on the same page, but why do you think, like
Why?
what's your reasoning?
Why?
And that's why I don't think you need to add a third person. Because
I agree to disagree.
I want your ability to shine through.
But
because
what about
you
a
and-
professional opinion?
Because that's never been the point of the podcast for us.
Why not? I think that's beautiful. Even so, can I bring up our previous?
The office cat. The office cat.
All heard
Everyone.
that. Everybody was like,
Everyone
God
heard that.
damn.
Yeah, the office cat. It's probably about her dinner time. You were saying.
So the point was like a topic specifically. What's a hot topic, Aaron?
A hot topic? Politics. We don't talk about
Politics.
We don't talk about politics.
Okay.
We don't talk about politics
Why not?
because we don't.
Okay.
As
We're gonna-
as a business, as PM media,
Okay. Done.
We do not talk about
None
politics.
of that. Okay. Other than
God,
that.
I smacked the shit
Yeah,
out of that.
no shit.
No, we do
Boom.
not talk about politics.
And there's a reason why I
Of course.
agree to that.
Yeah.
Because like even me in politics, like I agree on certain things, but I disagree on so many other things.
Yeah, like
Right.
there's
like,
just too
it's
many
like,
polarizing
I'm not
opinions.
This, I'm not
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like it is what it is.
And there's
But-
too many levels, like you can trigger somebody in too many different ways. And the show and the business don't focus on politics enough to
No.
give a flying shit about any of it. So that like okay, you don't know this yet, but like in our bylaws, like in the foundation of the company, it states that in the show, in any creative content that we create, there is no politic talk, period. We can legally not talk about politics. That was like one of our freaking bylaws.
I don't remember going over that contract when I signed it, but
You didn't no, you didn't sign that one.
oh, it's a different one.
That is in the company bylaws. Like as a corporation, we cannot discuss politics publicly.
So I can't even do that based off of the company that I work for. So I'm sorry, guys.
So, I mean, we can.
You want to know
like,
what my politics
you can,
are?
You
Like-
can mention like brief little shit. Like it's
Yeah.
not like we're not gonna hang you for that. but,
right.
like,
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh god, I'm fired.
Of
If I
course
mention
not. No,
I'm
no,
like
no, 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 no.
Republic or
well, if you mention Republican or Democrat, it doesn't really matter. Like, like you can make brief statements.
Okay.
But like, we can never have any kind of full long form content.
Okay.
Ever dedicated to politics.
Okay.
Because
So,
it's such a
Can
sensitive
we do
subject.
this for like let's do this for like 2 minutes.
What?
Less than that.
What?
Can I ask you what your political position is?
You can. I'm not gonna tell you.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll tell you off camera.
Bet.
Yeah. Like I will absolutely tell you off camera. I can't tell you on camera. No, I can't.
Ask me.
I'm on camera. I can't.
You can't ask
Like
me.
I legitimately.
And he's like,
Oh,
no, I
ask
can't.
you? I'm not gonna ask
no, No,
I'm not gonna ask
even-
you. No,
not
no,
even
no.
that.
Because it's
If I
legitimately
was just like, oh,
like
I'm-
like my lawyer. Like I can't. Like I
Bet.
literally like I will talk
Goddamn,
to you
guys.
100% off camera about politics. That is the one thing we will never talk about on camera.
Okay. I did not know that. That was a learning experience.
Yeah, it's okay.
for me, I
Like
guess.
it's not like so
Right.
severe you get
Right.
fired for it.
Right.
Like if you wanted to tell the audience what your political position was, that's fine. I cannot stop you. And based on conversations, you can pretty much guess where we stand.
That's true.
But-
True. Maybe leave it up to that.
Of course, we leave it ambiguous for a reason. The whole point of the podcast is for us to voice our opinions and then let the audience make their own. So that's also the reason I don't want professionals on the podcast. I don't want a third-party professional talking about the facts, because I don't want anybody to listen to this podcast and think that that's the only way. Because in certain
not fair,
situations,
though.
it's not necessarily the truth. I want them to be able to formulate their own truths. Because a lot of what we talk about is our own opinion. And
I agree.
Our opinions are other people's opinions that we've just kind of made our own.
I agree.
So
to that.
I don't want anybody
To an
if
extent.
you're listening to this, I don't
Right.
want you to take what we say as gospel.
Yeah, like this isn't personal. This isn't direct.
Yeah,
this is
our thoughts put on to entertainment
Right.
for you to listen to. If you
And-
enjoy it, great, fantastic.
Best part was if you don't like it,
Fuck off.
comment. Well,
No, I'm kidding.
don't. Okay, Aaron's going through his democratic phase.
No.
No,
If you don't like it, comment.
Right,
Let us know
right.
why you don't like
Well,
it.
right,
And then
'cause-
if you comment and then you still don't like the answer, then fuck off.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Okay, I like that better. It's like, all right, if you comment and tell us why you don't like it, and if it's a reasonable explanation, like we would love that.
Oh, of course.
Criticism. But if you're just being an asshole, we're gonna treat
always-
you how you treat us.
We always listen to criticism.
right, but we will treat you the way that you treat us.
Look, if you've ever followed us on social media, I don't know
Yeah.
if you know this, but if you've ever actually you don't know this.
No,
So
yeah,
we
I'm
are
really
brutal on social media.
Are you?
Fucking brutal.
You're just like,
if
fuck
your
it,
if
dude.
if your criticism is valid, we'll respond. We'll be
Yeah,
like,
sure.
okay, yeah, we'll fix that. No
That's
problem. No
fair.
big deal. But like we had one guy, he was like, "Oh yeah, your videos are lame." Blah 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 blah. And I remember the comment, the response. It was something like, "Okay, so have you ever seen War Dogs?"
War Dogs.
Yeah.
That's an older video.
Yeah,
right?
it's like 2016.
Yeah.
So our response was from a quote from the movie. It was like, "Oh, you don't like our video? That's okay. Like, we'll just count it as a triangle." And they were like, "What do you mean triangle?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we invade all of those. You know, all the kind of triangles. The Bermuda Triangle, your mom's triangle." And then we just left it at that. Yeah. And then like somebody compared us to Good Mythical Morning one time.
That's
Which I
okay.
get. I understand why they compare us to Good
let me-
Mythical Morning.
let me give you-
You're gonna go there.
okay. I'm gonna go there.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna let you go there first.
Can I read my response?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes,
the
yes.
question was,
Yes.
was your inspiration of your channel Good Mythical Morning? So
Okay.
very, very polite comment.
Sure.
Wasn't rude,
Right. This
So-
is before me.
of course.
Right.
So we were like, okay, we understand that there could be similarities. Because
Sure.
like the initial intent of the content was not to be like Good Mythical Morning.
Right.
And we don't actually do a lot of content like theirs. I don't know if you've ever seen theirs.
I have, but
yeah.
I'll leave that to later or no?
Oh yeah. Let me read this
yeah,
first.
Yeah, you read that, and I'll leave my comment to Good Mythical Morning compared to us later.
Okay, so so they said, is your channel inspiration Good Mythical Morning? And so our response was, not really. It wasn't until after the show released and was created that people mentioned the similarities. Where some segments may resemble GMM, we do our best to stay original in our creation. With that being said, we are honored to be compared to such an amazing show and staple here on the platform. So, basically, with that being said, like, yes, there are some similarities. We do a daily show that is released 5 days a week. Yes, we are behind a desk, but it kind of stops there. Honestly, like, yes, they do taste tests, but we don't do just taste tests. We do drunk food taste tests. Like, that's the whole point. We are drunk when we do them to determine the best drunk food. So, like, we even though there are some similarities to GMM, we do strive to be original in our creation. We are not Good Mythical Morning. if you want to compare us to Good Mythical Morning, fine. But, like, at least say that, hey, we're the adult version of Good Mythical Morning. This is not for your, like, 7-year-old kids. This is at least 13 years or older. And I would say our demographic is 18. Well, it is. It's 18 to 25. Yeah. That's our demographic. So, like, we're not for your average kid. Like, we're just not. We have adult-based content. We have crude humor that is implied in our content, in our creation. So I do see the similarities, and I do understand what you're saying, because I'm a fan. I really do. I respect Rhett and Link and what they've created and what they've done and what they've accomplished. And where we do strive to be a staple like they are on the platform, we are not them. And we are very different, because, like, we do different segments, different content, different creation than they do. Yep. And we can't... For you,
compare.
You can't compare them. But anyway, you were saying about your comments on GMM.
GMM, yeah, everybody. So people compares us to that, but hey, I'm gonna give you guys an idea, right? This idea is that imagine that you've never seen GMM, Good Mythical Morning, right? Mm-hmm. What other places are like us?
No one.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't find anybody.
Like, there's Good Mythical Morning, and they do it really well. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not giving them a shout out, even though I'd love to.
They do. No, you're fine to give them a shout out. They do. Oh my god!
They could have. God.
They do. They are incredibly good at what they do. And they have a format that works.
Right.
Are we copying the format? I wouldn't say we're copying their format. I would say we accidentally stumbled upon it. Because, like, we didn't copy their format. Like, the initial point of the show, if you guys go all the way back,
right,
it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it was a podcast. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, well, let's just do a daily show. And then it kind of turned into that. And then someone said, hey, you guys kind of remind me of Good Mythical Morning. And then we looked it up. So, like, it wasn't like, oh, hey, we saw Good Mythical Morning, we want to copy this show. It was more like we created this show, and then people started saying we resemble Good Mythical Morning. And then when that was said, we started changing the show because we don't want to be them. So that's when we made our corrections and shit to make it more adult friendly and, like, hey, let's make it not a GMM. Like, let's make it our own thing.
So,
but anyway,
before we get to the topic,
we digress. What's the topic? I think this is the topic, honestly.
Nah, this is the topic.
Welcome back to the PM podcast. I'm Aaron. This is Braxton.
Oh, this is Braxton.
And today we're talking about just random shit. Actually, no. Today we're talking about having guests on the show or the format of the podcast as it is.
Yeah.
I think is the best way to put it. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, because honestly, I've been arguing about Aaron for this.
You have been talking to me about guests since day one.
Since day one. Like, I love the idea, and I would so much appreciate the support on you guys and YouTube and
they
any
don't
other
support it though.
I know, and that's why I'm gonna get them there. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get the supporters there.
Do you know why they don't support it?
Because they haven't survived this long.
No.
We started this. We survived the podcast for it's been 30 minutes now.
They love you.
They love me.
They love you.
No,
because
I'm bold.
No, because we have good conversation.
It's because I'm bald.
Do you know? Okay. Do you know? I'm not even fucking joking with you. You know? No, I'm not. I can show you the stats on the computer.
Ellen.
Do you? And
Ellen, I've showed Ellen. Ask Ellen.
She's sitting right here.
No bias.
Ellen, look at Braxton. I'm gonna say these numbers, and I want you to be legitimate. Ever since Blake left the show, the podcast views and downloads have doubled.
Exactly.
Yes, you have. Okay, I'm not lying. The views, the average monthly download before you came on was about 25 to 3,000. Okay?
Max pop.
Per episode.
3,000 pop.
3,000 was the top per episode before you came on.
Okay.
Your first week, you got 2,500-ish, a little over 2,500. So you're a little bit lower. But by your fourth week, you had 5,000-6,000 downloads with you and me being on the show. Okay, that's double what Blake was getting. Your views on the podcast, even though it's lower, have doubled. And I can show you the statistics. I can pull up the reports right now.
Honestly, I wouldn't believe it.
And then the comment, I know.
Saw the reports.
I can show you the reports.
I think it was just being nice and towards Blake, and I understand the situation, and honestly, I can't compare myself to Blake. Blake was a great character towards this podcast, and there's no way I would be able to replace those footsteps.
You're not replacing.
Well,
you're expanding upon it.
Well, and that's what I would love to do.
You are.
And as long as the
you know what though,
subscribers understand that,
you need to stop looking at yourself as the replacement and more as the front runner. You're not the replacement anymore. You're not. You're just not. Since you came on, this is an entirely different show.
I agree to disagree, I guess.
You think it's the same show?
I don't.
Okay. But I'm still here. But what do you mean?
I think there's a lot of who's who?
What do you mean?
Who is Potty Mouth Media?
Who is PM Media?
Yeah.
Or what is?
What is?
Do you want me to give you the breakdown?
No.
I can give you the breakdown.
Yeah, give me the breakdown. That way I can tell anybody that
ever asks you.
Yeah, so like, hey, I've seen you on this podcast, and like, you're great. I love your energy. Like, I want to hire you. Well, okay.
You're so
like,
drunk.
I'm really fucking. Am I?
Yeah, you are. Hold on. Look at me right here. Okay, I'm gonna break down the entire company for you now. Okay,
done.
So
here you go, guys. Settle down. Write notes.
Here we go, guys.
Done.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So PM Media LLC. That is the holding company that owns everything. So PM Media.
PM Media.
What?
That's it. PM Media. PM Media.
Guys, we might have to stop this podcast.
No.
But PM Media is the company that owns the rights to everything.
Right.
Okay? So PM Media pays to produce the Potty Mouth Show.
Right.
Okay. The Potty Mouth Show, I can even pull up on the website actually. The Potty Mouth Show is a daily show that's released Monday through Friday. Let me pull it up.
What's the PM podcast?
Hold on.
What day is it?
So Saturday. So
Saturday,
the PM podcast is the Potty Mouth Show. Excuse me. The Potty Mouth Show is a daily show that's released Monday through Friday, where Aaron and Braxton play crazy games, drink a little more than they normally should, study the newest trends, and test all sorts of products and walk the line on what society has deemed appropriate. Okay. So the PM podcast is also a second show. It's not the same show as the Potty Mouth Show.
Okay.
So the PM podcast is a podcast.
Yes.
That where the PM podcast is a weekly audio and video podcast where Aaron and Braxton discuss everything from personal stories to today's culture with personal opinions and is filled with off-the-cuff humor. So that's how it kind of breaks down. So the brand of the PM podcast is not okay. I'm gonna be real with you. Okay.
Okay.
You gotta look at me. I know you're drunk, but you gotta look at
I
me.
am drunk.
You are.
I gotta go to the bathroom, and I gotta put my socks on. And I gotta go do that, but
We're gonna wrap this one up, guys. But so the PM podcast,
yeah,
the PM podcast,
sure,
and the Potty Mouth Show,
yeah,
is since there's been a change in host,
yeah.
the show is significantly connected to me.
Well, yeah, 'cause
So-
you're beautiful.
Well, so are you, but fuck off.
Look at those teeth, guys.
Thank you.
Come on.
Hey.
Hey, he
So-
paid for those. Come on.
So, but what I mean is like the show, like the brand itself is kind of recognized to me because
Sure.
I'm the one that hasn't left. Like I'm the owner, creator, and like I'm the one that made this show possible.
Absolutely.
Besides my wife, who's behind the scenes. So when it comes to that, like I haven't left, I haven't changed, I haven't moved. So you are not necessarily a replacement, but an addition. Are you leaving?
No.
Okay.
No.
You're not a replacement, you're an addition.
Sure.
So you can't view yourself as you've got to stop viewing yourself as a replacement and more as an addition and a welcoming addition to the show. And she's like, yeah. You're like, you're so much better.
Okay.
What?
Do you want to hear a story?
Yes, we want to hear a story.
After 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Go for it.
I guess the only reason why I am how I am is because me personally, I think Blake killed it.
Of course.
I think you and him
Mhm.
were great chemistry,
Sure.
and I would love to have that chemistry with you.
We
And-
do.
And here's the thing: is I'm gonna let everybody else know that I think that we do,
Yeah.
right? And
Of
I'm
course.
not complaining about that, but my thought is that we just didn't have that chemistry at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So
of
it was a
course.
little like, all right, yeah, you agree on this, and I disagree on this, or
Yeah.
agree and disagree, and XYZ. But I also, over the time, I've come to have a relationship with Ellen and the other producer and everybody else that's on the cast today.
Mhm.
And me personally, like I care about what they say, not
Yeah.
only what you say. And I think that you feel the same way
Of course.
as far as like how I feel and what they feel. So
I definitely
I think that's
definitely
what's
care
great about it.
Everybody here has a very and that's for you guys to hear too. That's
Yeah.
actually a really good insight. Actually,
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Everyone here at PM Media, we really do have kind of an open source kind
Yep.
of thing.
yep.
Where like if you have
Yep.
something on your heart, just say it.
Say it, dude.
You know,
Hey,
we don't really have like I think
Absolutely.
if there's a problem, make it known. Like
Yep.
there's not really like you shouldn't be afraid to voice an opinion or
Absolutely.
a concern or whatever.
I don't feel that way towards
But-
you.
No, not I don't feel like towards you. You can
Yeah.
tell me anything.
Yeah,
And
I'll
I'm
tell
the
you
same way
everything.
towards you.
Yep.
So, but okay, I love Blake, and Blake, if you're watching this, buddy,
Yeah,
like swear to God,
absolutely.
dude, you were the
Yeah, dude.
you were the one that
Foundation
exactly. You were the one that got this show where it is.
started.
To
Yeah.
become, and he actually agreed with me. I
Mm-hmm.
texted him. Okay, so sorry, I texted him about you.
Son of a bitch. What did he say? He talk shit.
And no,
I'm
I
gonna
didn't. I
kill him.
didn't talk shit. So
I'm gonna
I
kill him. Where's he at?
So I said, he asked me, how's it going? He's like, how's the show going? And I'm like, honestly, dude, he's doing better than we did when we started. And he's like,
Oh fuck.
yeah. So I was like, he's doing better than we did
Oh,
when we
no.
started. And
Oh,
his
no.
his exact words were like, yeah, I've watched a few episodes. I know he's fucking killing it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
So, like,
that's all
dude,
you need to know.
And the thing is, like, you're in my chemistry,
Absolutely.
fucking boom.
Like, bro,
Instantaneously.
what do we need to do?
So like
Right?
it only gets better from here.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's like something that you kind of undercut yourself, honestly. You really you're really hard on yourself, and the fact that and this goes back to the whole like you wanting a third person. I think you like the whole point of the podcast as it sits right now is me and you having
Yeah.
intimate conversations
Absolutely.
and being real with each other. and
I
I don't want to add a third person because I don't want to cut away from what that is. And I think you kind of have problem. What?
You don't want to hear our intimate conversations.
Well, I mean, sure, but
Yep. That's exact. So my point of theory, and maybe, how about this? So you said what else to your point? Like, hey, I don't want you hearing this because of this.
what do you mean?
So you were bringing up segments of like, hey, like this is what happened. Like this is what I hear. This is what I see. This
Yeah.
is what's gonna happen.
What do you mean specifically?
Whereas like me
Yeah.
specifically is like, hey, this guy pulled out in front of me.
oh,
it's
you mean,
his fault.
You're talking about your accident.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you guys see on his head, he actually did get in a car accident. And he tried to explain it from me. He tried to explain it. So he's talking about the. He is a little drunk, guys, but he's talking to me about the comparison from him telling me and him experiencing it. So. You want me to wait?
How do we do this?
You
How the
put-
bathroom breaks work in this?
yeah, you just put your headphones down, and I'll sit here and entertain them while you walk away.
I walk away.
Just don't budge anything. Oh, he's so drunk.
I'm so drunk.
He's so drunk.
I'm so drunk.
Hey, don't run over my wife on the way back.
Stepped on it.
Yeah, oh, did you really? So, what he's trying to say is that he wants a third person on the podcast.
It's ironic given the topic of conversation last week.
Yeah, exactly. So he wants a third person. He wants a person to buffer. The only way that we can have a buffer is by having a third host, which we're more than welcome to have a third host on the show. Because there's no way to have guests on the show without having a liability and people being flaky, and I don't trust that, and that's never going to happen. Unfortunately, like, yes, he's the host of a show, but I'm also the owner. And having this is not a guest-based podcast. It's just not. It will never be. So, I'm willing to have a third host to kind of feedback and give feedback. But the only problem that I have is I do think that Braxton underestimates himself on his ability to have an intimate conversation. And he's very good at, and he's very intellectual, and he can articulate a conversation when he's not drunk. But he's very good at that. And so I really do think he just kind of underestimates his abilities, honestly. So, speaking of that, if you're watching this, Sly Martinez, thank you for subscribing. I just got notified that you subscribed to the YouTube channel. So thank you. But yeah, I think he just highly underestimates his ability to carry a conversation. Oh, hey, welcome back.
Well, hello.
So we're going to wrap this up, buddy.
What do you think?
We're going to wrap it up. I was just telling the audience
thinking?
that I'm not closed off to the idea of having a third host, but and I understand that you're the host of a show, but I'm the owner of the show, and there will never be a guest-based podcast.
Fair.
But I'm not closed off to the idea that we could have a third host.
Okay.
I'm not closed off to that.
So my point is to convince you otherwise?
Your point is to convince me that a third host is reasonable.
Fair. Ready?
I don't want to be a guest-based podcast. We will never be a guest-based podcast.
And I feel that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I know you understand where I'm coming from,
Yeah.
especially where we're located.
Yeah.
Having a third host, I'm open to that. If we had the right person, like you fit really well. Mm-hmm. Even from the first moment I met you, you fit really well into that kind of that scene.
That vibe.
Yeah, you had that vibe.
Fair.
So I was like, okay, that's fine, no big deal. But I will never have a guest-based podcast. I just because of my experiences, and I get that you may want that. I just can't have that.
You didn't like what me and you did?
With
I mean, how I was introduced.
you were okay. How you were introduced? You weren't introduced as a guest.
I
Kind of.
agree and disagree because I was and I wasn't.
You were okay. So
yeah, that was a
a
trick. that was a long-term trick that I was
didn't get
not
it.
under the impression of.
So-
it was like, all right, how cool is this guy? And then I ended up being really fucking cool.
So do you want me to know? Do you want to know exactly what we
well,
did?
yeah,
Okay,
dude. Because I'm like, how the fuck did this like? All right, like this guy. So to my knowledge,
Okay.
I only knew Aaron from a wedding
Yep.
of a mutual friend.
Yep.
And then, like, he came up like 3 times and tipped really well.
Yes.
And then that was it. Like,
Okay.
oh yeah, man. Like, I appreciate you. Like, you're great. Like, blah blah blah. I have this podcast, and I'm like, that's cool.
And
Like,
then
I'm
we
just
had you be
here-
a bartender on the show.
Yeah, and then
He realized it was a daily, like basically TV
yeah,
show.
yeah. No, I was like, all right, this is way more than what he. I guess.
Okay, so we're gonna start right there.
Okay.
So
bet.
you came on the show for the 25 days of alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start right there. So you came on the show
Bet.
for the 25. That next week, me and Blake had our meeting where he was like, "Yeah, I'm done."
Oh fuck.
The week after the 25 days of alcohol,
Like,
he was
I
like-
showed up and I did my thing, and then
that Saturday, he was like, "I'm done."
what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Had no idea.
No,
Like
you
it was
didn't.
Like,
You
all
didn't.
right.
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So, well, of course not.
Like
so,
yeah, I was just there for the
So
fun.
when we asked you back to come on
Yeah.
the podcast,
Yeah.
that was your audition.
Uh.
So even though we introduced you as a guest,
yeah.
you were a host.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I didn't.
We knew
expect that.
exactly what we were doing.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, you didn't. That was the point.
Well, that's
We
fair.
didn't want to tell you that you were auditioning to be the host because we didn't want to put that pressure on you. We wanted you to be open and honest with who you were as a person.
That's fair.
So that way you wouldn't have that pressure to be like, oh, I've got to entertain, like I've got to be this host, or
Sure.
like I've got big shoes to fill.
Sure.
We didn't want you to think that. We wanted you to just be you,
Sure.
and you fucking showed up. And so that was it. That was like, yep, he's the host of the show. There's no questions about it.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thank
No
you.
worries, dude.
Yeah,
And so like, and like I'm telling you, like that's why, like I get the idea of you wanting a third person. I think there is untapped potential in our conversations that you don't see because you are very, very hard on yourself. And you know you are. You criticize yourself more than I do, and that's saying something. You can't disagree because you know that I'm right.
Um,
And that's why I
do
say
you want
that.
me to argue against you? Is that
You don't have to argue against me. If you agree with me, that's fine.
so?
You don't have to argue everything
I'm trying
I
to
say.
think. The most. So I would say the hardest part of me being able to live by myself
Uh-huh.
is just being able to live by myself. Like, I have people that they want to be in a relationship with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've had exes hit me up
Sure.
saying they want to be in relationships with me. And I think I don't get how people can be so confident in who they want to be with
Huh.
for the rest of their lives.
You don't get that?
I feel like me personally, I've had more experience, more relationships, and more problems than anybody else.
Mhm.
Yet they can live a happy, healthy relationship, marriage
Sure.
with kids and no problems and XYD. And I'm like, how do you do that?
And
Like,
so when you experience that, you kind of find it hard to believe in yourself.
I'm scared.
To believe
like,
in
as soon
yourself.
as I find it, like, I would compare my ex-girlfriend Chelsea. She was probably Chelsea. I'm gonna tell you, you were probably the best girl that I could probably ever get in my life.
Is this the one married with kids now?
Probably. Honestly, I
Oh,
feel
I,
like
don't- I think you said something about it.
like I feel like everybody that I've broken up with or am not in a relationship now is they
Same.
have kids
Same.
and they're like 12 years old or some shit
Yeah.
like that. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, what happened when we broke up? Like, we broke up like 2 years ago, and you have like 10-year-old kids. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Um,
No, but I think that's where it is. It's more of a with women. It's more of a it's a maturity thing. Like they want men
Yeah,
that
of course.
are developed. They have understanding. They know what they want in life. Some women don't want that, and they want something different, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Do that.
Can I
And
make
then-
can I make an observation
Yeah. To
to
what?
you? To you.
To me.
So
Directly. Yeah, sure.
Directly to you. So, is it so far out of reach to say that I think that you're maybe, I don't know. Okay, let me
Say
let me-
no,
no.
you will definitely
Let me-
not hurt my feelings.
Let me. I know.
I trust you.
I know I won't.
Yeah, it's like, no.
No, what I mean is that like, okay. So for instance, you
Tell
said
me,
that
Daddy.
you're
Come on.
you're scared to. You said that you're scared to like. You're scared because you don't know what you want, and you see everybody else knowing what they want. And
Yeah.
you're like, how is that fucking possible?
Yeah, like how do you
Because you're
know
not
that?
in their same place.
Like you're
So-
just boring. At
Okay,
this
so
point.
here, do you want to know the truth?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
how do you
bored.
look at me and Ellen? Like, honestly, do you look at us like that?
I look at you and
Yeah, here we go. Here we go, baby. We're getting there. How do you look at me and Ellen? Let's talk about it. No. No. She's right. Come on.
leave,
Come on.
leave.
No, she's not gonna say anything. Go ahead. Say it. I know what you're thinking. Say it. Come on. Fucking say it. Come on.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
So I think that how long have I been here?
Huh?
How long have I been here? 6
Been
months?
at the show
Yeah.
since December. So January, February,
Before that,
March.
November,
so
October,
4 months?
I feel like October.
No. You've been
Really?
you've
December?
been you've been working with us since
Your
November.
first episode was like no.
November. So November, December, January, February, 4 months, 4 or 5 months. You're going on 5.
I can't.
You're going on 5 months.
No, he's going on 4.
Going on 4 months, whatever.
Going on 4 months.
Yep.
And your question was what? Just so we're all clear.
What do you think of me and Ellen? You said that you don't know where you stand as far as, hey, Jeff Collins, thank you for subscribing.
He's asking if you think we do.
No. I was saying he said that he is confused as to why the fuck people have found what they're looking for. You don't understand how they've found what they're looking for in their life because, like, you're just not there. So, like, you're like, what the fuck? How are they finding their perfect
How
person?
are you and Ellen finding each other?
Yeah,
'Cause I
exactly.
think that
So what do you think? What do you think about me and Ellen in
I
that
think-
situation? Yeah, come on, say it. It's okay. You're not gonna offend me
No, I don't.
because I'm ready. I'm
personally
ready.
don't think
I'm
it's
already. I'm already ready to defend. So
No,
you're good.
I don't think it's offensive. I think from what I've learned from.
Just don't look at her. Just look at me.
Yeah, I was like-
Just look right at me.
I feel Ellen like looking at me in the back of the head.
She's working on her sit-ups.
So
right now.
you're good.
Go for
So personally, what I feel like, you and Ellen have worked on, right? I think the most important part is communication,
Of course.
right, with any relationship, and
Absolutely.
I think that, personally, one thing that's great is that I can tell Aaron, or I've recently felt comfortable to tell Ellen, like, hey, these are my problems, right? Like, you are the producer, you are the other co-host, so I think that's taken me personally a little bit to get used to be able to be like, hey, like, you as a host, I don't feel comfortable this way, or you as a producer, I don't feel comfortable with you this way. And with PM Potty, or the PM podcast, yeah, that
The PM podcast.
PM podcast,
Okay. Yep.
that
That.
I felt really comfortable in being able to express my feelings and being able to have a conversation with a lot of people, even though that might not reach a certain amount of people. I would love to be able to have a conversation with people, and that's what is most important for me, and that's why I've chose to delegate my time to the PM podcast, because one of the most important things for me, especially being a bartender and a server, someone that's worked in the industry to where they see people, they see their everyday problems. Sure, they might not tip, and, I might not make a whole lot of money in a day, but at the end of the day, I enjoy the people that I work with and the people that talk to me and have a conversation with me. And one of those people not only happened to be Aaron, happened to be his wife, and it happened to be everybody else that was surrounded by me with Aaron. So, at the end of the day, I support everything that this podcast has to do with. And I would love to have a conversation with a third person to be able to have a different viewpoint. And I think that's the best point for this podcast, but I could be wrong. Let
us know in the comments below.
Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
But so every couple months, you haven't been on it long enough to actually accumulate, but
sure.
So I would like to every 3 months. We get plenty of comments.
Yeah.
So every 3 months, we used to do questions out of a hat.
Okay.
Where it's the subscribers' comments.
Yeah.
And we put them in a hat and we draw and we answer those questions.
I would like that.
So
I think that's cool.
it's a level of engagement that we're directly engaging the audience. And we can continue. You have to be on here for a little bit longer, another month or so, to really get those questions coming in. But we can do that if that's something you're interested in. I'm just not ready to fully commit to a guest-based podcast, just because we don't have, whether it's the following, whether it's the commitment, whatever the fuck it is. I just don't think we have that level of following yet. I'm not closed off to it. I think if it's something that our views go down and people want to see it, we'll make it happen for sure.
Sure.
But right now, they love you. And they want to see you engage, and they want to see what you have to bring to the table.
Okay.
And I want to see what you bring, because I know you can bring a lot of cool shit to the table.
Absolutely. I'll kill it, dude. Every time.
You already are.
Every week.
You already are.
Absolutely.
So let's continue to make that happen for you guys and for the PM podcast. Mm-hmm. And then I think next month, so we're filming this in February? Mm-hmm. Late February.
Yep.
So late March we'll do maybe a Q&A where we get to a Q&A where we get to read your guys' comments and questions and really give you guys some feedback on what we think about your questions.
Yeah.
But
I would like that.
I think it's really cool. So
yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. I love listening to you guys. You guys, honestly, in order for me to make this successful, I need your guys' comments. I need you guys' likes. I need you guys' subscribes. I need all that stuff. So the more you guys help us out, the more you guys clearly understand our point of view and what we kind of present to everybody. So I appreciate you guys. Any help that you guys can give us, I'd appreciate that.
And I think that's a good place to wrap it off. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys for liking and subscribing. If you guys like this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify. Watch it here on YouTube. If you're watching it here on YouTube, make sure to like this video so we can keep bringing you fun, silly, goofy, sometimes serious content like this. With that being said, that's all for this episode, and we will see you next time on the PM podcast. Deuces.
Deuces, guys.